Hey everybody, this is Trevor, and thank you for coming to my channel today, Pioneer Spirit. If you could please like, subscribe, smash that bell notification, share my videos, watch the videos till the very end, and comment below. That would be greatly appreciated, as your support keeps the lights on here at the Pioneer Spirit Homestead. So thank you. That being said, today I want to talk about a subject. I've done a video on this before, but it's something that comes around every few months. It's a topic of interest, and it's been a topic of interest with me for the past 25 years, probably since the late 90s, when I first was introduced to this topic, and I just find it very fascinating. So something I'd like to talk about, and if you're interested in this topic, watch the video right till the very end and tell me what you think. So today I want to talk about pole shift. And the two pole shifts are continental and magnetic. Now 25 years ago I was introduced to the first topic of continental pole shift. 25 years later, after researching this subject, I don't know where it falls, if it's in the category of science fiction or science fact, but it certainly is a very interesting topic, I think, to research. And because I am, if I were to say my favorite genre of entertainment for movies and whatnot, would be like the post-apocalyptic kind of movies. I do like them. I just find them interesting, and how Night of the Walking Dead, Return of the Dead, Walking Dead, kind of zombies, 28 Day Later. So I find those interesting, and I find the subject of continental pole shift kind of falls in that realm. I cannot find any solid evidence that it has ever happened, but there is some information out there saying that yes, it has happened. So what that basically is the crust of the Earth, okay, basically realigns itself and it moves. The continents will shift, as in the name, the continental pole shifts. And from my research that I have looked at, if the continents do this, and the way they've described it as flipping 5 times in Earth's history. That's what I can find out. That's what I have found out. If you can find out different, please leave something below. But again, this continental pole shift is I think maybe in the more realm of science fiction, but again, I would like to talk about it to enlighten you, and perhaps you can enlighten me below by giving me some research that I have not found yet. Or you can leave a comment just saying it's bat crap crazy theory. I don't know. It's just a theory. It's an interesting topic. So from what I've researched, if the continents were to have a pole shift right now, if you were to look at a globe, I would like you to find the U.S. state Wyoming, and go look where the city of Cheyenne is currently located on the globe. And if there was a continental pole shift, Cheyenne, Wyoming would end up where Easter Island is. Okay, currently where Easter Island is, that's where Cheyenne, Wyoming would end up. And so basically what you're looking at is the Bay of Bengal, the body of water, the eastern side of India, would end up where the Arctic Circle is. So the Bay of Bengal would become the new North Pole, okay? So basically, from the shifting of the continents, the realigning of that, you're basically, Canada, America, and northern Mexico end up where South America would be right now, or just west of where like Argentina would lie right now, okay? And from my estimates, there is a lake in Russia called, now forgive me for the pronunciation of this, I hope it's right. It's called Lake Baikal, and it's in southern Russia, and it's north of Mongolia. That lake would end up where currently Lake Erie is, thereabouts. So, does that give you a description of what the continents would end up like? Hopefully that does. That's, basically, I think so the Bay of Bengal is now the new North Pole. That would put India basically where Greenland is. So from my estimates and from what I have researched and what people have described as the Earth's continental pole shift would look like, that's where things would end up. Now, the theory is too, and again, this seems to be more theory, more in the science fiction realm than science fact, but the theory is if we had a continental pole shift, that the continents would flip, okay, and they're going to move and then stop, okay, and it would take up to a week for the actual the wind and water that's on planet Earth to stop. Okay, it's going to take, the theory is, up to 7 days for the winds, which would be moving at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. So any land that wasn't covered in water, because when the continents, if they did flip, so picture now, basically, Wyoming is now where Easter Island would be. You have to picture all that water. Okay, it's going to move up one way. So the land is coming down and the oceans are coming up. Okay, and when that land stops, okay, now you've got all that water sloshing around. Okay, you've got the winds of the earth. Again, at the equator, it moves at 1,000 miles per hour. You've got the wind and the water slosh. The wind's still going to move. The water's sloshing around. There's a lot of water on this planet now, sloshing around on the continents. Any land that isn't covered in water, okay, that water could eventually, theoretically, it would recede and go back, and new oceans could be formed. But any land that isn't hit by water is going to be hit by 1,000-mile-an-hour wind. So the post-apocalyptic, the genre movie that I love, I think, wow, that would make for the most incredible post-apocalyptic kind of movie ever. If someone were to make that, maybe 2012, that movie was kind of like that, but I just, I don't know. I find that theory of pole shift to be more in the realm of science fact, but I find it interesting, and if that interests you, look into it. Look into it. I've been looking into it for off and on for 25 years. It's just, I find it fascinating. I love looking at maps. If you want to know the nerd in me, I love looking at globes. I love maps. I could pore over them all the time. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings maps, fantasy maps. I love them too. I love just, actually just looking at real Earth maps. So yeah, it's just something I'm interested in. So continental pole shift. If that were to happen, I mean, kiss your ass goodbye, I think. I don't know where on the Earth would be absolutely safe. I mean, if you were on a piece of land that wasn't affected by, a 2-mile-high tsunami running over you, you're going to get hit by a 1,000-mile-hour wind. So unless you've got a $1 billion bunker that's 1 kilometer under the ground, I suppose, that you can live there for, I don't know, hundreds of people for hundreds of years. I don't know what else you could really do. And there's another subject of information, just a little sidebar digress here. I love watching shows on like Atlas bunkers, the shelters, any kind of bunker company. I love watching, but I start thinking to myself, if there were a Continental pole shift, I don't know what kind of bunker. You'd have to have, like I say, $1 billion bunker built into the side of a mountain or something like that. But anyways, so that's just over 10 minutes on Continental pole shift. I think that's enough. If you're interested in that, go watch some more videos on that. Now there is the second part of this. So that's the magnetic pole shift, and this is in the realm of science fact. Throughout the ages, it seems to be about every 12,000 years, there's a magnetic pole shift, and there can be smaller ones that can happen every 6,000 years. And basically what happens, the north magnetic pole and the south magnetic pole flip. And in that process, it is scientifically factual that the magnetic field that protects our Earth, it's like the force shield around the Starship Enterprise. That shield could be weakened as much as 90%. And I shouldn't say if that happens, when that happens, because this is science fact. Magnetic pole flips do happen. A strong one about every 12,000 years, and smaller ones can happen about every 6,000 years. And so if we have 90% reduction in our Earth's magnetic shield, that's going to allow like solar flares, any kind of cosmic radiation. That protects us. That Earth's magnetic shield protects us from that. The sun belts out a solar flare, and it does its absolute best to protect us. But in 1859, there was something called the Carrington effect, and that created the aurora borealis. That's what happens when we have like a major solar flare. It hits the magnetic fields, and it lights up the sky. A nice, beautiful green color. I've seen it before when I lived in northern Alberta. But in 1859, you could see the aurora borealis as far down as Fiji and Tahiti area. So if we were to have a solar flare like the Carrington effect happen to us now, when the Earth's magnetic field is 90% weaker, we're going to have a grid down situation. Making videos like the way I am now, turning the power onto your house. All power would be knocked out. For how long? Well, that's up to how well your country maintains its power grids, the infrastructure for transporting electricity. That's going to be knocked out. So if you like living how they did in the show Bonanza, I love that show, by the way. Another show, Little House on the Prairie. That's what we'll be living at. We'll be like Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie living again. Can we deal with that? I laugh at people who say, "Oh, it's not gonna. That wouldn't affect our lives." No, that's apocalyptic, if you ask me. Obviously, not in the realm of a continental pole shift. That is absolute. That would be a mass extinction. The magnetic pole flip, now I don't think it's going to be a mass extinction, but it's going to affect us they say these things could last up to 1,000 years, or it could take just, a shorter amount of time, but depending on how long it takes for the magnetic poles to fix themselves again, so like where the shields are back up to 100%, in that time period, like, how are we going to function without electricity? This is why I make videos on preparedness, on what do you do when the power grid goes down. And that could be the power grid going down because, the powers to be in the world can't play together in the schoolyard very nice. And they launch a nuclear missile and they detonate it high above in the atmosphere here, and it creates an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, which can shut down the power grid. And again, these things, that would be minute compared to the pole shift, the magnetic pole shift. That, I think an EMP would be I mean, it's going to be devastating. It could be 6 months. Let's say you're in Canada, United States, UK, countries that are probably have a better power grid than perhaps some other countries in South America or Africa or Asia or something like that, or even Russia. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe their countries have planned for this and they can withstand a magnetic pole shift. But from what I gather, I'm going to say you're going to kiss everything goodbye for 6 months. Watching my videos, you're not going to watch them. You're not going to watch Joe Rogan. Nothing. Everyone is now thrown back into basically how they lived in 1800. Okay, Little House on the Prairie kind of thing. So that is science fact. A magnetic pole reverse is going to happen. And from my research, I have 25, I'd say more 20 years into the magnetic pole flip. I started researching continental pole flip maybe 4 or 5 years before the magnetic one. But the magnetic one does happen. And when it does, like I say, the main thing that we're going to see is the magnetic shield that gives us the life that we have, protects us from solar radiation. It's going to be, from what I've researched, could be 90% gone. Not totally gone, but it's not going to. We won't have the satellites anymore. So unless, I don't know, North Canada, America, like wherever you're living, unless your government has prepared for this secretly, I guess, because I don't seem to find any reports on where the government seems interested on this. That they should, which kind of leads me down the path to think that government would love this to happen, to bring about a more dystopian, totalitarian control of humanity worldwide. Just saying, just put that out there. I mean, if you've come to my channel before, you know that I don't paint government in a great picture. Okay, it's a dangerous superstition, I think, to believe in, and that seems to be what most people do. They believe in government, that they'll be there to help you, and they're not. The politicians aren't there to help you. They're not your friends. So when a magnetic pole shift happens, I can't foresee it being just a gentle pole shift where maybe we lose power for a couple days. I think it's going to be could be for a generation, 10 years, until we can get the power grid back up and fixed. And who maintains the power grids? Well, it's government, and I don't know. Do they want that even back up? Would they do it for us, or is it just another thing that they would use to control us? Like we've, if unless you've been living under a rock for the last 3 years, they used a cerveza sickness to control us. And I'm just putting this out here, saying, I'm going to say at least 90% of the world's population went along with everything that the so-called, and here's where the medical experts told us what we had to do. And, here we are 3 years later, and a lot of that stuff was proven to be wrong. So, got to mix in a few things in here today, I know. I want to, a few things other than the continental and magnetic pole shift, but sometimes I always think that there is a connection between these, the powers to be and things that could happen. So, continental pole shift, I certainly don't want that to happen. It's like continental pole shift and magnetic pole shift. If you have to choose one, it's like, well, I don't know. It's like voting, choosing the lesser of two evils. But in that case, a magnetic pole shift, we're not going to have power, but the continents will still be where they are. So you don't have to worry about 1,000-mile-an-hour winds or 2-mile-high tsunamis rolling over your house. I don't know. I mean, that would be an instant extinction, I think, for pretty much everything on the planet. But magnetic pole shift, then, that's kind of scary too. It's like, obviously, more people are going to survive, but then I start, then my apocalyptic movie mind starts kicking in, thinking we're going to have these alpha bully males like Negan and Sergeant Barnes, taking over the world, and we can't allow that to happen. So should that happen, I hope that more of my Sigma brothers and sisters come out to make sure that the bully alpha males are put in their place. Okay, so, and that's going to happen. I don't have the answer as to when a magnetic pole shift's going to happen. There is evidence right now saying that the magnetic poles since the 1970s, the North Magnetic Pole, that's the one they seem to reference most. It's gone from like just northern Canada here. It's gone. It's now into Russia. Okay, and they're saying it's heading towards Siberia, I believe. But the magnetic pole is moving about 50 kilometers per year now, and every year, so it's moving further south. And the South Magnetic Pole is moving up towards the western part of South America. So there is evidence there. It's actual, factual, scientific evidence, yes, that the northern magnetic poles, they are not anywhere near where they were, 50 years ago. Okay, so in the last 50 years, they have like I say, the North Magnetic Pole, it's into Russia now. So when will they flip? I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that one. But all I can say is the preparedness person in me, it's one of those scenarios, a grid down, electrical grid down preparedness. So what can you do for that? Well, stock up on your supplies, obviously food supplies, any kind of medical supplies, your tools. One of the best tools you can have is a hammer. And another good tool is, what do they call those? The cordless hole punchers. Pew pew. You know what those are? Cordless hole punchers. That's another great tool to have. But hammers, screwdrivers, nails, screws, all these kind of things that you can have. Imagine living like they did, like the television show, like Little House on the Prairie, and try to figure out what you can scrounge up around your homestead to get you through that. Talk to your neighbors. Look at where the neighborhood you live in. Could you live how they did, say, 300 years ago, 200 years ago? Like, obviously before the time of electricity. And count on that electricity being gone for, I'd say, 6 months. Okay? Before anyone could get anything up and running again. So figure out how you could live, whatever location you're living. Like, I live in the northern hemisphere, so I'm thinking without electricity, where I live, pretty damn cold winters. So I got to figure out how to heat my homestead. Even where I live in the northern hemisphere here, it gets pretty damn hot in the summertime. Humidity. So you have to deal with that. So weather, you have to deal with the weather. You have to figure out how can you deal with the weather. Stock up the best that you can. Get what you think is important to support yourself, or if you have a family, make sure you do that. I do other things, like I have silver. My silver bar displayed there. I have silver and gold. That could help maybe further down the road, for a bartering kind of point of view. Maybe people would take the silver and gold. And I think that within a magnetic pole shift, things over time, we will get the power grid back up and going. But in the meantime, what kind of skills can you trade with people? What, like I say, what have you stocked up with that can get you and your family through 6 months? At least 6 months. What kind of tools do you have? Everything. Just imagine anything that you think would be helpful in terms of getting yourself through it, and perhaps in a bartering kind of system. So I think that's about it. Again, comment below on what you think about the Continental pole shift. I think it scares the bejesus out of me. And if you think that there's anything factual about it, let me know. If you think it's science fact, well, just enjoy I don't know, enjoy it. Don't enjoy it, but just, it could make a good apocalyptic movie. I think that was kind of like what 2012 was written about, but comment below on that. And as for magnetic pole shift, It will happen. It has happened in the past. It seems to happen about every 12,000 years, a major one. So, if you have any more information on the Continental magnetic pole shift, comment below. And I appreciate everyone who comes to my channel. Anyone, you like, you share, you subscribe, hit the bell notification, comment, watch the videos till the end. I noticed that my time here is over 25 minutes. I don't quite like to make the 25-minute long videos, but I have in the last few. I'm excited about certain topics, and I will sometimes talk a little bit longer for that. And I thank everyone who has stuck around and watched the entire video today. I appreciate everyone who supports this channel. You're helping to keep the lights on here, okay? So, that being said, I hope everyone's having a good day and stay free.